Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Super Action Statue JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Sticky Fingers second figure. Now, you guys know I've reviewed a bunch of these JoJo's figures now, and I'm going to keep going. We have a bunch more to look at, and I have to say, I've liked a bunch of them, but this one's my favorite. I'm not particularly partial to pink or periwinkle metallic, but this guy is such a cool figure, and it's got a really unique accessory, which I really like. But overall, it's just loaded with a really cool paint job and a really cool sculpt, and like I said, nice accessories. So let's get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 16 centimeters, which makes him just about 6 1/4 inches. Of course, if you straighten out the head a little bit more, adjust some things, it could vary, so be aware my measurements are always just close estimates because the pose will have an effect. Even if it looks like he's standing straight up, depending on how you have certain pieces of articulation adjusted, it will change that slightly. Anyway, this guy has a really cool sculpt, lots of unique bits. You can see all of the armor on the arms. The chest has a different sculpt for the pink to the silverish purple. This zipper thing is all sculpted. These guys are obviously sculpted. They're actually articulated. We'll get to that. Everything's just really nicely sculpted, and the paintwork is really clean. We have this kind of glossy metallic purple up against this pearly pinkish fuchsia color. Lots of gold and silver mixed in. Just really, really impressive looking figure. I like it a whole bunch, and I'm excited to show you guys because, like I said, it's my favorite. Before we talk about the figure anymore, though, let's look at the accessories. Of course, we have the 2 fist hands, which come on him in the package. Then we also have 2 kind of open style pose hands, 2 kind of gripping style pose hands, and a pointing finger. We have one other hand accessory, which is this one that has this kind of extension going on, which is pretty unique. The hand and forearm itself looks pretty normal, but this part here, this gold part, is completely soft. So the cool thing about that is it comes with these clear acrylic tubes to hold it together. So you have a short one, a long one, and a curved one. And then, of course, you can pose them however you want. So it's a very nice accessory. I like that a whole bunch, and you can see that in use more at the end of the video on the figure. We do have an interchangeable head, which is particularly cool. It's the same head as the normal one, but with an open mouth, which is nicely sculpted and nicely painted, so that's a really nice touch. And then lastly, we have our standard JoJo's Bizarre Adventure display stand, which has the text on the back. Of course, if you don't want to put the text on there, you do have the option to use the 3-piece upright to pose the figure. So lots of versatility in the pose here, or in posing this figure here. As far as the articulation goes, again, it's pretty useful. It's pretty standard for the JoJo's figures. Most of it works nicely, though. We have the hinge for the neck, which is technically a ball peg to the top of the head, but it's mostly going to be a swivel and a hinge, neck to head. Then neck to torso, it's a ball peg, but it really doesn't want to move very much, so don't expect a whole lot out of that. For the shoulders, we have our swivel in the torso and then our standard hinge, which gives us particularly good range, so that's pretty nice. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. Technically, you can rotate at both ends, but it doesn't often work. We have our ball hinge for the wrist. It gives you really good range. Be careful swiveling that, though. Those things tend to pop apart. We have our single ball peg for the upper torso, which does work really well, as they often do. Just be careful if you go all the way back, there's a little bit of gapping going on, but otherwise it's pretty good all the way around. Then we have another ball peg for the lower torso. This guy's particularly stiff in the torso, by the way, so do be careful, but you do get more range from the lower torso. For the hips, we'll talk about these things in a second. For the hips, we have a ball peg, which lets this kind of socket piece move around. So it doesn't give you the best range, only that far forward, that far back, and as you go forward and back, it kind of starts to swing to the side just due to the sculpt. Has almost no range for the splits, unfortunately. But then we have the swivel for the thigh on there. So it's, it's not the best, but it will do. We have double jointed knees, just like the elbows, except we can only rotate at the top on this one, not at the bottom. Then we have ball hinged ankles, which are good, except they don't go very far forward, unfortunately. Could definitely be better. You can rotate them around for an ankle rocker, but again, be careful with these ball hinges. They tend to not like being rotated. And we have a toe hinge, which is good enough. It's not great, but it's not bad. The last thing I want to mention in terms of articulation, this thing is on a swivel. It's on a little tiny ball peg, so you can move that around depending on how you want to pose the figure, so that's good. Same thing with the neck one. You can move the neck one. So it's pretty darn cool. This guy's a really nice looking figure, definitely a nice display piece. Gonna look really cool on the shelf, so I recommend it 100%. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, video game stuff, TV stuff, movie stuff, all kinds of stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.